Wait a minute, you said hacking? Isn't that a bad thing? Welcome to the Hack Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Barnes, bringing you right now solutions to some of your biggest teaching and learning problems. Now, let's hack learning. I got out my bed early this morning, down the road. Welcome to episode 84 of the Hack Learning Podcast. And the question I asked in the beginning is one that I was asked just recently by someone who was looking at Hack Learning series books and actually considering translating the books into another language, which is pretty cool when you think about it. But the more we talked about it, and he said, tell me what the idea behind this is, and I was using the word hacking because it's in most of our books, hacking education, hacking assessment, hacking homework, hacking leadership, and so on. And he replied back in an email and said, isn't hacking negative? So, what do we do with people who have that feeling? And I thought about that and I said, let me send you Hack Learning Anthology, which is our collection of single hacks from all books and sort of this anthology of innovation, I think. And in the foreword, I write about this idea and how we came to use the word hacker, hack learning, and hacking, the words and phrases I should say. And I want to share some of that with you today. And by the way, if you'd like to see this, you can grab it for free at hacklearningfree.com. And that's really a good thing, hacklearningfree.com, because we're putting Anthology into thousands of people's hands because we want them to see what I'm going to share with you right now and a lot of the other innovative hacks that are in our series. So I want to share with you my idea of the hacker in terms of education and hack learning. The word hacker became a favorite part of my vocabulary when I first saw the movie Jurassic Park. The boy Tim calls Lex, his sister, a computer nerd, and she replies, I prefer to be called a hacker. Later, that precocious, self-proclaimed hacker provides some nifty computer coding that ultimately saves everyone from being eaten by diabolical raptors and other ravenous dinosaurs. Even though they were fictional, her heroics made me an instant fan of Lex, the young hacker in Jurassic Park. You see, she didn't steal top-secret government files or surreptitiously empty the bank accounts of hundreds of unsuspecting retirees. These things do happen. Rather, Lex saw a problem, used the assets she had at her fingertips, and concocted a solution that no one else could see. She didn't need a committee or a 5-year plan. Lex, the hacker, had all she needed. A problem, a unique skill set, and a little finesse. Lex is one of my favorite movie characters because of her courage in the face of incredible odds, and because she taught me that hackers are not the dangerous predators they're made out to be. In fact, most hackers have the potential to be heroes. So when I decided to write a book about practical solutions for educators, I knew the title long before penning a single word of content. Hacking Education, 10 Quick Fixes for Every School, was the perfect moniker for a book designed to show people how to attack problems, much as Lex did in Jurassic Park. It was the perfect title for a book aimed at inspiring teachers to become hackers. About a month into writing Hacking Education, I suggested a chapter on student-centered learning to my co-author, Jennifer Gonzalez, who argued that the topic was too broad for a single chapter in this Hacking Education book. That might be a whole book, Jennifer said. The more topics we bandied about, the more ideas cropped up for other books. Ultimately, Hacking Education became the first book in the Hack Learning series. Books that solve big problems with simple ideas. The idea of hack learning is spreading rapidly, and now a book series has morphed into Twitter chats, online courses, keynote speeches, TED Talks, podcasts, and online study groups. educators around the world are integrating various hacks from the books into their classrooms. So hack learning has become a movement promoting practical, simple, progressive problem solving using a hacker's mentality. Lex may be merely fictional, but I think she would be proud. So this is what I shared with a gentleman who's interested in translating hack learning books into a foreign language when he asked, what about this hacking idea? And is it negative? And I think depending on a person, the individual, in some cases, hacking or a hacker can be negative. I mentioned in that earlier part of that foreword from Hack Learning Anthology about the predators that are out there. And we tend to think of hackers that way. But for me, in hack learning, a hacker is someone who, like Lex from Jurassic Park, has that specific skill set that not too many people have, and also has the vision to look at things differently and to see a whole lot of skills and assets at her fingertips and say, you know what, I can use this one way, maybe different from how it's typically used, and I can use this over here in a different way, also different from how it's typically used. And when I put those things together, I've got something new. And to me, that's what the best hackers do. That's what education hackers do. You think of the people who write hack learning books. They are longtime educators, school leaders, counselors, consultants, people who have honed their craft, teaching and learning, over long periods of time, and they've looked at things in ways that others haven't. And you can look at the books and see what I mean, but I'll give one example that's one of my favorites. So in Make Writing, which ironically does not begin with the word hacking, but is a hack learning book, Make Writing by Angela Stockman is about taking the traditional writer's workshop and combining it with the ideas of the maker space, a place in schools where kids make things and where they use all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be technology, but it could be. And in some cases, it's tools we already have. Sometimes it's paper and crayons and Legos and all kinds of tools. And what we're doing is looking at how we can use them to make things and then turn those into learning experiences. And in Make Writing, Angela takes the idea of the writer's workshop, this place where kids immerse themselves in stories, if it's narrative writing. And then she says, let's look at the idea behind the makerspace. What if we take some of those concepts and we combine them into our storytelling? And kids create storyboards, and they use Post-it notes, and they use blocks, and they build, and they create these boards that people can look at. They draw pictures. And then they say, how do we turn these into stories? If I'm telling this story, what does that sound like? And then ultimately they write it. And that is a really, what we call, hacky idea. So to me, someone like Angela is an education hacker. She is someone like Lex from Jurassic Park who sees things differently. And they're simple. They're really simple ideas, but she sees them and others don't, because a lot of people in education tend to default to the difficult. Think about how we solve problems. Often we default to difficult. We go to a committee and we sit around and maybe we meet once a week for a month and we write down a whole bunch of ideas. And brainstorming's good, don't get me wrong. And sometimes committees do really good things in education. But in this model, what happens is a lot of time passes and a lot of ideas are bandied about, and those ideas often don't go anywhere. The solution never comes to fruition because there are so many different ideas that people go, well, we're just not really sure how to do it, and we need to continue to look at it. Whereas the education hacker will say, well, let's not default to the difficult. Maybe we don't need to go to committee. Let's look at the assets around us. Maybe you need a certain thing, and someone says, well, I know this person who has this skill, and you know what would also be helpful would be this other skill, and I know a person who has that. What if we put those two together and say, hey, solve this? And they do. And then you say, you know what, let's take that idea and let's integrate it immediately. Let's not wait. And we're really big into that at Hack Learning, is that whole what you can do tomorrow. So these are laid out in the Hack Learning books, the ideas of what you can do tomorrow. And to me, this is what hacking is. We like to start from the problem and the pushback. Someone says, I don't like traditional grades. They feel like labels to me. And that's a problem because I don't want to label my kids, but I'm not sure how to do it because using traditional grades is the way we've always done it. Well, Star Saxton, author of Hacking Assessment, says, well, wait a minute, there's a way around that. We can default to the simple. You want to not label kids? Well, don't. What do you do instead? You talk to them. You observe. You have conversations about what they're doing. You ask questions. What are you doing? Tell me about it. Why did you do it this way? What if you did it this way instead? And then you record those in any variety of ways. You can write them down. You can use audio. You can use video. You can use a digital portfolio because the tools we have today are incredible. And you can share that back with kids, and you can share it with parents very easily. You could use social media. Star talks about using things like Periscope, a live video tool to show what her kids are doing and to interact with them. Maybe record those conversations. Maybe just record them privately and share them privately with the student in a portfolio or a blog. So these are the ways you do things, and it doesn't take a 5-year plan to do that. There are some very simple strategies, and that is hacky and that is innovative. And that's the kind of finesse and vision that education hackers have. And we think that's a beautiful thing. Hey, thank you for listening to the beginning of Hack Learning Anthology. We're very proud of this collection, and so proud, in fact, that we want to give it to you. Hack Learning Anthology, Innovative Solutions for Teachers and Leaders, brings you the best of the Hack Learning series, and it's absolutely free. We're going to give away, get this, 10,000 books this year. It's at the time of this recording, it's early March. We're already up close to 2,000, and we're going to give away 10,000 at least. We're giving away paperbacks. We're giving away digital versions. In fact, if you go to hacklearningfree.com, you can download the Hack Learning Anthology in multiple formats, meaning that you can open it on any computer, laptop, tablet, smartphone. It's always there. And you can take these hacks with you, and you can solve problems and be innovative tomorrow. And that's what we're all about at Hack Learning, and that's a little bit about my description to someone who said, isn't hacking a negative thing? And I think you see the answer here in episode 84 of the Hack Learning podcast is that hacking and being an education hacker are really great things. Hey, check out Hack Learning Anthology at hacklearningfree.com. Share it with friends, and thank you for listening. As always, we continue the conversation at #HackLearning on Twitter and on the show notes page at hacklearningpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.